Aloha and welcome to the Kapuna Wiki radio show. Today we are going to talk about the COVID vaccine update, and in studio we have Ryan Ashlock, who is the Operations Executive at Adventist Health Castle. Kapuna Wiki is Hawaii's senior resource. We talk to the best local professionals in the state regarding topics such as real estate, senior housing, estate planning, finance, and health, so that our Kapuna families can find the best resources in the midst of a life transition. We strive to make sure our seniors are informed and supported every step of the way. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brandon Lau.
I'm Andrew Leon,
Your host for the Kapuna Wiki radio show.
If you missed any of our shows on here, the Kapuna Wiki radio show is available as a podcast and can be found on both Spotify and Apple for your listening pleasure. Our title sponsor for today is Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors, providing you with the best real estate information so you can make the most informed decisions. As they like to say, real estate is about choice. To contact them, call 753-9033.
And now we have our real estate tip of the week, brought to you by Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors.
Before purchasing rental property, consider the following factors to make a great investment. Number one, consider the cash flow. Number two, get the full cost of owning and repairing the home. And number three, carefully select your tenants.
For more information on how you can make the best investment, contact Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors at 753-9033. Well, yet today we have the pleasure of speaking with Ryan Ashlock, who is the Operations Executive at Adventist Health Castle. Welcome, Ryan. How are you?
Thank you. It's nice to be with you guys. I'm doing well, thank you.
Thanks for being on our show. Now, Ryan, you are in a very important position because you are on the front lines helping to get our communities vaccinated and informed about this whole process. But tell us, what is your official capacity at Adventist Health Castle?
Yeah, I'm the Operations Executive or Chief Operating Officer there at Adventist Health Castle. I've been there for about 2 years, and I'm responsible for the strategy and operations of our hospital and associated medical clinics.
So you're basically overseeing the whole thing, the whole enchilada.
Almost, almost, yeah.
And how did you get involved in the healthcare industry?
You know, my family has always been in healthcare, and growing up, I watched them be, whether it was in patient care roles or management roles, and always knew that I wanted to be in healthcare myself, and been very blessed to be in this industry for the last 12 or 13 years or so.
That's great. Were you always here in Hawaii?
No, I just relocated to Hawaii about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Spent most of my life in California.
Nice.
So
Across the pond.
yeah, but it's good to be here in Hawaii. We really enjoy being here.
Well, you're in Kailua, which can't get better than that. Right?
Yeah, great.
That's
Kailua
where I was
Beach
born
is
and
awesome.
raised, so I'm biased. How's it been so far at Adventist Health Castle?
You know, everything has been great. It's obviously been a challenging year with the vaccine now rollout, or even just dealing with the pandemic. And our team there and our staff have done an absolute amazing job, and can't thank them enough for the work that they do. Working on the front lines is not an easy thing to do in a pandemic type environment, and they're taking wonderful care of our patients and our community.
Yeah, we had someone from Adventist Health Castle on before, and they talked about all the different services and outreach programs we have for Kapuna,
Right.
which is great, especially if they can't get out and exercise and do those activities. I mean, there's things that you folks actually provided for them.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, our wellness center has been a really important resource for Kapuna in our community. We used to provide fitness classes in person, but now we've moved to a virtual environment.
Yeah.
And not only has it served as a way to provide exercise for them, but there's even just community connection that they're able to have at the end of it, which is such an important thing these days.
I mean, it's almost like you want to get online for the class like 15 minutes before
Right.
and stay 15 minutes after, right? Because that's your social interaction time.
Yeah, we actually have had to kick people off, respectfully, because afterwards they just wanted to talk story with each of their different people that they're so used to seeing,
Right.
and it's such a great opportunity for them to be able to do that.
You got to open up another room somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Now tell us, today we're going to focus on getting an update on the COVID vaccine, and tell us, how has it been so far?
You know, the process has been interesting, I would say. It's been a learning process for us. This whole time we started vaccines on December 21st and have administered about over 16,000 vaccines to
Wow.
date. Now, mind you, that's a combination of first and second doses.
So maybe about 8,000.
Yeah, give or take, it's probably somewhere between probably 9 and 11,000 individuals,
Got it.
and our focus has been on the 1A population, which is the essential healthcare workers, and then have since moved into the 1B essential workers, and then also the kapuna over 75 years old. So those are the areas that we're focusing on right now, and demand is starting to wane a little bit in those areas.
That's great.
And so we expect that we'll probably start moving into the additional tiers here in the not too distant future.
Okay. I haven't taken too much time to read over the different tiers. How many tiers are there?
There's several.
Several.
Yeah. I think one of the confusing things that is out there for our population right now is who falls into what different tiers, right? And so I really encourage folks to visit the Department of Health's website. I think it's hawaiicovid19.com is the specific website that exists out there to get more information.
That's great. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to be almost last on the list, maybe. Might be a good thing. Now tell me if somebody, for some reason, felt they needed to be moved up to a more high-risk tier, is there any possibility of that happening? Or is that something they have to work out with the state?
There is some flexibility that we're provided if somebody has a unique medical condition that puts them at a high risk.
Right.
We do have some ability to make some exceptions in the process, but that's very rare.
Right.
We are really trying to be intentional about following what the Department of Health guidelines that have been set. They've done a lot of work to be strategic about how to prioritize that,
Right.
and we want to ensure that we're following those guidelines as closely as possible.
That's great. Well, Ryan, we definitely want to hear all the specifics about the vaccine, maybe how you get it, is there a charge, etc. And we'll learn more about that right after this commercial break.
Great.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, we're speaking with Ryan Ashlock. He's the operations executive at Adventist Health Castle. And right before the break, we kind of touched upon, you folks already administered 16,000 vaccine doses, which roughly around 9,000, you said, of patients getting the vaccine. I want to ask, what kind of feedback have you guys been getting from the patients that have taken the vaccine?
The feedback has been incredible. People have been so thankful for the service that we're providing, to the extent that people leave in tears, not because it hurt from the vaccine, but because they're so thankful for the opportunity to be able to have received the vaccine. And, for all of us being shut in for so much time, it does give you that sense of hope, that sense of that maybe we're going to be able to get through this. And we've had just an enormous amount of positive feedback from our community from us providing the vaccine.
That's great. Now, you folks are on the women's side, and you folks are pretty much the hospital that is going to take care of that side of the island. How are you folks doing in terms of vaccine? Do you folks have enough? Are you guys waiting on more supply to come in? Are you guys running into challenges with that?
We have run into challenges. It's really on a week-by-week basis. Initially, the vaccine supply was adequate, and then there was some supply chain issues on the mainland that restricted the amount of volume of vaccine that was coming over to Hawaii. And as a result, we had to dial back some of our first dose appointments to be able to ensure that we had enough vaccine to provide second doses. As you may know, we're giving out the Pfizer vaccine. So the Pfizer vaccine, you get one shot, and then 21 days later, you come back and get your second shot. So as a result of the fact that it's a two-shot vaccine, you do have to be strategic about how you plan. When you have an unknown supply chain, you've got to make sure you have enough to be able to administer that second vaccine. Even as we sit here today, because of the weather issues that the mainland has been experiencing, the winter cold, one of the trays, as they call them, the trays of vaccine, was not shipped from the warehouse on the mainland because of the concerns about it may be impacted by the weather. And so now we're having to scramble a little bit and look at our appointments over the next couple days to ensure that we're going to be able to maintain the appointments that we do have, given the fact that the vaccine delivery date is unknown. And so that has been the challenge in this process, and I think frustrating too for those that are trying to get an appointment, because one day there might be appointment availability, the next day we might have to pull it back because the information about the vaccine delivery schedule or availability has changed. And we've been working very closely with the Healthcare Association of Hawaii and Department of Health, who've done a fantastic job. It's really just the challenge of working with the federal government and some of the supply chain issues that they've been experiencing.
So you're saying, the overall feedback has been very receptive. Because on the windward side, you have a big population of the senior community.
We do.
Have you folks gotten any resistance, I would say, to them getting the vaccine, or has the overall response been? Stick me with the needle.
I think it's a little bit of both. There's really a couple of reasons why people have been hesitant, whether it's in the kupuna population or anyone, is concern around the safety or the side effects that may come from it, or even just lack of knowledge that's out there. There is a lot of misinformation that has been out there in the media about what things the vaccine may or may not cause when you receive it. And so I think it's really important for your listeners here to ensure that they're going to reputable data sources and read about what it truly does and doesn't do. Because that misinformation, I think, has created a hesitancy there. Certainly from my perspective, it is very safe to be able to get it. And I'll tell you that I was on the fence initially about getting the vaccine. And that first day that we started our vaccines, many of our physicians at Adventist Health Castle lined up to be able to get it. And I asked them, I said, why do you feel so confident to get it? And they said, we've looked into the science behind this, and it is amazing, and it is safe, and I'm fully confident getting it. And these are I'm not a clinician. I got a finance background. So when the people that understand the science behind it can come and explain that it's safe, then I change my perspective, because these are the people that deal with this on a day-to-day basis. And because they felt it was safe, I knew that it was safe. And I can tell you, I wasn't the only one in our organization that had their mind change relatively quickly when we saw the 200 plus physicians lined up at the door saying, "Give me this vaccine, we want to get it."
It gives you a lot of confidence.
It does.
Yeah. Let's just go through some bullet point facts here about your vaccine distribution. I guess the first question somebody might have is it free or is there a charge?
It is free to the patients. We do bill insurance for an administration fee, but to the patient itself, it is free.
And how would somebody get it? Is it just based on when you're called, or if they can categorize in those tiers?
Yeah, so everybody has to schedule ahead of time. And the reason why we don't take walk-ins and require an appointment is there's certain storage requirements for the vaccine. And so you really need to know ahead of time what the number of people that will be coming through the vaccine clinic. And so to schedule an appointment with us, you visit our website, which is adventisthealthcastle.org/vaccine. And there you will find a link that will take you to a form that you fill out, gives some key information that we need to be able to validate that you're in one of the approved tiers. So as we talked about earlier, we do really want to make sure that we're giving the vaccine to those priority groups. So we have a team that validates the information that you put into that form. Once they're able to validate that, you will get a link to our scheduling platform, and then you can go ahead and schedule your appointment and come on in and get vaccinated.
So
So for those who haven't actually gotten down yet, can you maybe just give us a snapshot of what that experience might be like? So they're going to come down to Adventist Health Castle, and then what happens?
Yeah, you come to our campus at Adventist Health Castle. It's actually in our wellness center is where we're administering the vaccine. You show up, you get screened, and to ensure that you don't have any COVID symptoms, no fever, just as we've all gotten used to with the temperature check and the questions and whatnot. Once you've been cleared through that screening process, you fill out a couple of forms that we need, and then you come into our wellness center and you sit there and you get your vaccine. You do have to stay for a 15-minute observation period, which is required to ensure that you don't have any type of allergic reaction to the vaccine. And once that period is completed, you check out, get your appointment for the 21 days from that particular day, and you're done. So it's a really convenient process. At most it'll probably take you an hour to go through the process, but most of the time it's about 30 to 45 minutes.
For people who are driving in, is there special parking, or they just go to the main parking lot?
Just right into our main
There's
parking lot.
probably signs that tell you where to go.
They do. Yep. We have people out there to direct our patients to the appropriate spot.
Do you recommend they be driven down, or can just come down themselves?
They can come down themselves. I do want to stress that to not come early.
Not come early.
Not come early. Yeah. Please come as close to your appointment time as possible, because we are trying to run through as many people as possible. When you have people that show up 30, 45 minutes to an hour early, it creates a bottleneck for us. And as we're really trying to respect social distancing, you really only need to arrive, 5 minutes before your appointment.
Right. That can be hard for some people,
It
especially when they're so excited.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As if being early will get them, I don't know, a better dose or something.
Yeah.
So aside from Adventist Health Castle, Andrew had mentioned it does use service a lot on the Windward side. Is there anyone else on the Windward side who's providing vaccines?
There is the Windward Community Center, I believe is what it's called, in Kaneohe, that is doing some. Walgreens and CVS are now going to start also doing the vaccine. And I'm not sure which locations there on the Windward side are doing that, but they now are starting to be able to provide the vaccine.
Right. Are you folks doing any community outreach? Meaning that are you able to go to their homes to administer the shot, or do they all have to come to the campus?
Yeah, at this point in time, everybody needs to come to our campus. And again, the reason for that is the storage requirements for the Pfizer vaccine makes it very difficult to be able to travel with it. And so to ensure that the vaccine doesn't go bad in the process, it's just so much simpler for us and safer for us to be able to do it on our campus. I do think as additional vaccines come out in the future, where the storage requirements and the temperature requirements may be less, we probably will see some mobile options of people being able to go into the home and administer it, but not for our organization at this time.
So again, Ryan, for those listening, if they want to go ahead and get registered in advance to receive a vaccine at Adventist Health Castle, how can you do that?
Yeah, they can just go to our website at adventisthealthcastle.org/vaccine and follow all the steps there. And it has a variety of different information to help them educate on the vaccine and the associated process.
And if, let's say, somebody didn't have a computer at home, is there a phone number that would work best, or do you recommend going to the website?
We do recommend going to the website, and I think that's another frustrating point that's come up in this process, especially for our kupuna that maybe are not as tech savvy as others.
Yeah.
When we initially opened this up, our phone lines were bombarded with people trying to call, and we unfortunately just don't have the staffing to be able to answer all those phone calls. We are looking to set that up at some point here in the future, but for those that may be having a difficult time with technology or a computer, we really encourage family or grandkids or somebody that is a little more tech savvy to help them with that process.
I mean, I do see in the Q&A that it says, if there's need for technical assistance, please ask a family member or friend before calling us at, you have a number.
No.
But if they can, just have somebody else help them with online registration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Ryan, I know you say not too much into the science on these things, but I'm going to ask you, so maybe from an operations perspective and looking at how this vaccine is being administered throughout the state and how many people are actually interested in getting the vaccine, when do you propose that the vaccine will kind of be disseminated throughout the population where those who want it will have it? Is there